and welcome to the Artist Behind the Music Holiday Edition. Today we have Amberlea Bruch with us, joining us from Ontario. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm excited to chat with you and hear more about your musical story and what you have coming up and all the good stuff. So let's kind of dive backwards and what got you started into the world of music.
I always wanted to do music. I don't remember a lot from growing up, but the one thing I always knew was I wanted to be a singer or songwriter in some capacity. And it's the reason I didn't learn my multiplication tables, quite frankly. I told my grandfather I would not need them because I was not going to do a career that would involve them. Math has a lot of music though, so didn't really think about that early on. It was just always something that was in me, and I was always sneaking CDs from my parents' collection or trying to play the guitars in my dad's closet. And from there, it just grew, and I fell in love with Broadway and Celine Dion early on. And we just belt that out in the room,
Yeah.
exactly, as any true Canadian.
Totally.
And then I would, from there, tinker around at the piano at my grandmother's house. Eventually in high school, I started taking piano lessons and doing more guitar things. I wouldn't say I necessarily started playing or practicing guitar until university. I did do some high school courses, but it wasn't anything more than a few scales. And I was still kind of frustrated with trying to get my fingers in the right positions. So I focused from there, moving to university, on vocals. And I did 8 years of vocals, and I thought, no, I've got this songwriting thing. I've always liked writing poetry, and I really ought to give it a chance. And I was so scared of doing it wrong and not writing a good song that I held myself back from actually writing or singing to begin with at all. And eventually I heard Ed Sheeran. He said, writing music is like turning a faucet on for the first time. You've got to let all the muddy water run clear before you get to the good stuff and the clear water.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, right? It's like it takes the pressure off. So I thought, okay, well, the first song doesn't have to be good. Nobody has to hear it. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, which is probably why I had a couple attempts at music growing up, but finally stuck to it in university and thought, okay, I can do this. So I wrote one song and it was okay. And I was terrified of performing, but I did it anyways. And then I just kept writing and kept writing. And then I started to set more goals for myself. And I thought, I went to university for business because I wasn't really sure about the music thing still. But I thought, what if I set little goals for myself each year to see if I like it?
Yeah.
And so the first year was to learn to play guitar. So I taught myself guitar while I was taking vocal lessons and started to play and sing at the same time. And I was terrified of performing. So the next year I set a goal to try and perform and see if I like that. If I didn't, then I'd stick to songwriting and just hone it on that. And then from there, I thought, okay, well, the next year I kind of liked this playing on stage. So maybe now I'll try and incorporate a band. And then last year was to try and get some music recorded. So it kind of brings us up to where we are today, but it's always just been in my heart and on my mind to do it. And I couldn't explain to you why, but it just eats away at me if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do it. It was something that I was like, I can't not do this. I might be a little older than the average female starting in the industry, but at the same time, I couldn't not do it. Was that one of those things that I'm going to regret this if I don't at least try? So I'm trying.
Totally. No, I agree completely. And the whole concept of just you mentioned age, I don't think age should really play a part in your success because I think success looks different for every single person. So just knowing, what is success to you and staying in alignment with that path, that it doesn't matter how old we are. We can start, look at Susan Boyle. I mean, she was
Yes.
she was in her 60s, right?
Yeah.
It's
and you've got Ashley McBride,
Yeah.
and Lauren McKenna. Lauren McKenna didn't start playing in bars until she was, I want to say 30.
Yeah.
After she had her 3 kids, she's like, maybe I could, give it a go.
Try this out. Right. I think I don't think there's a set plan for everyone or every way that this industry should be. I think there's, expectations maybe that get placed out by society. You need to be 18 years old and just starting out. But I just want to be very clear on that. I just don't think it matters, right?
No, and it's such a mental construct to get yourself past, right? To put the blinders on and focus and go, okay, everybody else has their journey. I have mine, and I have to run it at this because it's what's in my heart. And this is what I hear calling to me. And it's going to look different than everybody else, because if it was supposed to look like somebody else's, I'd be that person, and I'm not.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so how do you stay in that mindset of trying not to compare yourself to what other people are doing, or not feel bad that you're not like 10 steps forward because of where you are in life? Or how do you kind of get into that zone of blinders?
I think for me, number one, I surround myself with some really awesome people that remind me constantly of what I am doing towards my goals, and also remind me that the picture looks different for everybody. And that's really important to surround myself with that. Secondly, I take time for myself if I can every day. I meditate, I journal. I try to remind myself of what my path is. And, sometimes that ego or that fear monster comes in and goes, oh, look at what that person's doing. You're never going to get there. It's like, no, I'm just different. You're not going to compare, an apple with an orange. They're two completely different fruits. So why are you going to try and compare yourself to somebody else? And so it's building that up in my mind and taking the time to step back and unplug from everything through meditation and journaling. That really helps me stay true to my path and keep those blinders on. But there are seasons where, I go through a really tough time trying to get my head in that right space. And sometimes you just have to surrender and let go and call on the people that you love, their support, and help, get them to help you kind of build yourself back into, better headspace. It's a constant ebb and flow, but
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
practice.
happy you said that. It is a practice. I'm happy you said that because it's not perfect and it's not every day like, I've got this. I'm in my lane. I've got my blinders. Like, doesn't matter what anyone's doing. But there's just those moments sometimes that will naturally appear where it's like, oh, well, I'm not doing this right, or I should be doing this. Or, just those doubts that creep, 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 creep. And it's almost like the
Yeah,
sound effect too, right? It's like a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, da, 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 and then one day you just snap into it, right? And then,
exactly. And it helps to set little goals. Like, what is my next step?
yeah,
Because your next step isn't going to look like anybody else's. And you've got to kind of get quiet and hear what that next step is. And that was a big thing for me to learn how to do that. And also, yes, you need those people around you to support you. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing I picked up last year was that everybody can only give you their advice so far as they've experienced.
yeah,
Right? So nobody can really tell you where you need to go or what you need to do. You're the only one that knows that. And the only way you're going to hear it is if you get quiet. And so you have to get quiet. And sometimes you don't want to do what that voice is telling you to do. Sometimes your heart's saying, you need to go a little to the left. You go, but it's kind of uncomfortable over there. I don't really like it. But you got to do it. And so sometimes you just have to say yes. You have to get quiet and listen, and you just got to say yes and keep moving forward to your next step, not necessarily what everybody else's was or is or thinks should be. You've got to listen to yourself a lot.
yeah. That's a beautiful reminder. How do you keep a regular routine of journaling and meditating? Do you just do it so often that you naturally kind of know, oh, I got to do this today, or do you have to write it down, or what does that look like for you?
Morning person. I'm one of those annoying people that gets up at 6 a.m. and
Oh, I'm so envious of people that can wake up before 7. I really, really am.
I love it. So I have my little routine set up. I get up, I get my tea or my coffee, and I'll sit up in my reading chair, and I'll start with, I'll go through a little journal exercise, or I'll read for a little bit, whatever book I've got on the go. And then I'll sit for 10 minutes, and I use the Calm app with the nature sounds.
Yeah.
And I just try and let go of all my thoughts. And it took me 5 years to be able to sit in 10 minutes of silence. I'm a fidgety person. My mind goes everywhere. I'm always a doer. Like, what's next? What do I have to be doing right now? So it's very hard to sit there. So by no means did that happen right away. It took years to build this practice, but I started noticing a better cadence through my day, and also how I could approach things if I took that time. So it was just building the routine in the morning and finding a time that worked for me. Somebody else might like to do it before bed, but I just make the time because I know it's important.
Yeah, it is so important to find what works for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially as a creative person that likes to be
Yeah.
on the go. I know
Yeah.
all about that. Yeah.
You know, I was like sitting there, my brain's like, oh, but you could add this to that song. I'm like, not now, not now, not now.
Oh, don't do the to-do list. That happened to me this morning. I'm like, oh, I could add this. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I should just stop this meditation and just go start working.
You're like, oh wait, I'm just gonna go do it. It's like, that's not what this
No.
is for.
Yeah. No. So funny. How has 2020 been for you? Just kind of moving into this really quiet, isolated time, less
It
shows, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I will say it's been necessary and needed to get quiet, to hear all of those things that my heart was calling to. But it has probably had some of the darkest moments I've had in a long time. It's been really tough to there was a lot of things that were on my heart before quarantine hit that I knew should happen, but hadn't happened yet. And it was kind of that thing that I could see it coming, but I didn't really. It's one of those uncomfortable moments where you're like, I don't want to go to the left,
Yeah.
but your heart's going, yeah. So like 2020 kind of forced me to do that, and quarantining forced me to take some of the steps that I should have been taking that I hadn't wanted to yet, but made it a little bit easier to do so. So I see it kind of as a gift, a time to focus and get close and connect with my family. I actually moved back home with my parents, so it's been really nice to spend time with them. um, and it's been a lot of working on myself. I think we spend so much time trying to focus on everybody else because the self work is some of the toughest work you have to do. And it's yucky going deep and dark, and it's not fun. But I was, you're sitting, you have nothing else to focus on. Glennon Doyle said this. She goes, it's like a snow globe. You shake it up, and then when the snow settles, you see what's left. There's no more snow distracting you, there's no more noise. It's just quiet. And you see what's left, and what's left is sometimes scary. And I think all of the distractions that we had from our day-to-day lives, we weren't sitting and listening to ourselves, and we lost that inner voice and that sense of purpose and self. And 2020 has forced us to let go of the noise, let the dust and the snow settle, and see what we're left with and deal with it. And that's uncomfortable. So yeah, so it's been a really revolutionary year in a lot of regards. I've had to surrender timelines with all the music projects that I was working on, and again get back to listening to myself, which was something I needed to do but was avoiding.
And that's okay, right? I think a lot of us go through life avoiding things, but it is very necessary to look at them because that's when the growth can happen. That's when the biggest shifts occur, when we get uncomfortable. I always love to say, like, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's when life happens.
Exactly. That's where the good stuff is. I find you always feel so much better about yourself and more confident and more secure and centered when you take those scary steps and you do those things you were avoiding.
Totally. When you dig into the ugly work, it feels so good on the other side of it. Like, way better. The good feeling outweighs the bad feeling for sure.
Every time.
Every time. No doubt about it. So what do you have coming up with music? Do you kind of have an outline or plan what 2021 looks like for you, or is it kind of day by day?
Right now, we do have a couple things locked in. I recorded 3 songs this year. They're my first batch of 3. And we're going to hopefully record more in 2021. I've got a radio release locked in for February for one of the 3. And then we're hoping the 2 others will also go to radio, but at the very least, they'll be out on streaming platforms before summer of next year. So we're just finishing up all those edits, mastering in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll all go into streaming and we'll release them from there. So it's very exciting.
That's exciting. New music is always a fun thing to look forward to. What kind of vibe would you say your new music has?
The one I've got a lot of, it sounds like Shania.
Right.
The other one is very bluesy and smoky and earthy. It's almost got a haunting quality to it. And then the third one is a little more mainstream country, but it still has some of those Shania elements in it. We've got some fiddles, a lot of slide guitar. I really love that. Drums are really important to me. We kept it very I guess it's modern still. It's still considered modern country, but I wanted it to be very rootsy and all of the instruments to sound like you're in the room with us. So almost a live sound.
Cool.
And one of the songs I got a lot of, when I was listening back to it, just vibes of all of the instruments stripped down a little bit and a lot of kind of live vibes coming at me. So I was happy with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear when it comes out to the world next year. I can't believe it's 2021. That just blows my mind that this year has gone by so fast. It's insane. It's crazy.
I don't know what it was. It's just gone.
It's so weird that when you slow down, usually I find when you speed up, time goes by really fast. But this year I found it to go by so quickly, and it's really been slow and chaotic, I guess, for all those crazy.
That's been like, it's a mix.
Yeah.
It's strange.
It's a weird time. That's really just my answer for everything right now. I'm like, I don't know. It's just a weird time.
You just gotta go with it. You
Yeah.
can't.
We're gonna flow. We're gonna flow in the weird waters.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear you play if you're ready to serenade us.
Do you have a preference for the order?
No, whatever you feel.
All right. We'll probably start with mine, then we'll end with Christmas, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you want a little story behind the songs?
Of course. I would love to hear the story behind your song. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is something new, which is, I think, the first one we're going to release. The other one is I Won't Fold and Usually. Sorry, those are the other two.
Yeah.
So this one I wrote last August, just about meeting somebody new. It's that whole summer love kind of vibe. Maybe it's not quite love yet, but you're excited about somebody and you want to see where it goes. And so it's just the storyline of meeting somebody at a festival and goes through all the different kind of motions of what first meeting somebody looks like.
Okay.
And and it's one of the more upbeat ones, as you'll see. And then Usually is the slower, more rootsy, soulful one. And I Won't Fold has got the Shania Twain kind of vibe to it. So those are the three that are coming. But this one, I wrote by myself last year, and it'll be released hopefully in February. That's the goal.
Yes, I know. Who knows? It's a weird time. Like,
right?
We won't hold you to it.
We'll all just go with figuratively.
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it a go. Does it sound okay through there?
You got it.
Okay. I always like to test the sound a little bit first. I see you over there, pointing right at me. What you got to say? Come on, sit in next to me. Little top, little action, your good distraction. I can't help myself, pulling me in close, wrapping your hands around my waist, lemonade kiss. Music blaring, sparks flying, ain't no denying. We got that, something new. Midnight to sunrise, babe, you're still on my mind. We're driving undercover, stretching the weekend out. Little talk, little action, your good distraction. I can't help myself, pulling me in close, wrapping your hands around my waist, lemonade kiss. Music blaring, sparks flying, ain't no denying. We got that, something new. Go fast or slow, take it on home, smile, sip a little wine. We've got time. Pull me in close, wrap your hands round my waist, lemonade kiss. Music blaring, sparks flying, ain't no denying. We got that something new, something new. It's me and you, oh baby, yeah. Something new.
That's great. You've got such great low tones in your vocals. I love that.
Thank you. That scared me. I'm just gonna check tuning for a second. So the first 8 years that I was doing vocal training, I was doing high stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think it was about the 8th year. My vocal coach comes to me and she goes, "I think you're supposed to sing lower." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, I've been taking these courses and I really think that you got to try your lower range." And I was like, I don't want to sound like a boy or a frog and all these self-doubts, you know? And so, yeah, I started to sing a little lower, and that's, when all the good songs started to happen.
It's like cool, hey, when you go out of your comfort zone, like we were kind of seems to be the theme of our chat today, but when you get uncomfortable, that's when the magic happens.
Well, yeah, but again, it was that comparison factor, right? I felt as a female, shouldn't I be singing up here, right? And she's like, "No, but you sound good down there." And I was like, "Okay."
That alto shine, girl.
Thanks, girl. I'll get it going.
Yeah, no, I love it. And then I want to ask you too about the Songbird series that you guys have set up. Yeah, let's chat a little bit about that, the idea behind it and what you have going on.
So for the Songbird series, Emily Claire came to me in the summertime this year, and she's fabulous. If y'all don't know who she is, you need to check her out. But she came to me, she says, "I have this idea and I want to do this female songwriters round because of all of the different initiatives going through with radio and all those sorts of things. We really wanted to see how, we could support female artists." And we had both played at a couple of similar writers rounds in Toronto and had experienced what it was like to come out of an evening like that and actually remember what connection felt like with other artists. And we wanted to do that for female artists. So we wanted to build up a community, which is Songbirds now, where female artists could not only be shared and promoted to the fans, but also connect with one another and connect on a business front, a music front, a personal front, whatever you needed, just to remember that there's somebody else out there and somebody else that might get your experiences and understand one another. And so we created Songbirds with the hopes of connecting female artists together, as well as sharing them with the world, because we think that females have a lot of awesome stuff to say. And there's such an immense amount of Canadian female talent and female talent, period, in the country music and music scene right now. We just really want to shine a light on that and provide a platform for everybody to be together. So,
yeah, I love that you have that. It's just such a beautiful thing to see people bringing collective energy to support each other. I think it's such an important thing that we need as much as we can in this world. And so kudos to you girls for starting that, because I think it's a great initiative. So if somebody wanted to get involved with this, how could they find you and how would they go about becoming a part of the club, if you will?
Honestly, just reach out to us. It's either Emily or I. Sometimes you won't know who it is, but we're always responding to DMs. Follow Songbird Series. Get familiar with the other female artists. Connect with everyone. It's a great community to join and be a part of. And if you want to play, just send us a message and, we're happy to chat. We've only been we've done 2 rounds this year and we'll probably do 2 or 3 next year, eventually hoping to be live, but we don't want to bore everybody with too many lives. So we're trying to, keep them little treasure boxes throughout the year. So we're not sure how many we'll do.
Little sprinkles of love.
Yeah, little sprinkles for now. Yeah, because we would love to do something live. So hopefully we'll get there. But in the meantime, we're trying to give little bits as we can so that everybody can hear what we've got. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, I love that. And I'll put a link to that on the comments for this show as well. So
thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to support what you're doing. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else you got? You have a holiday song for us?
I do. I love Christmas. I have a problem with how many Christmases. I don't know if you could have too many. Is there such a thing?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. I've made a playlist on Spotify because people kept asking me what music I was listening to for Christmas. So I put a big one together. We also have a Songbirds one if anybody's interested in that. You just search the Songbird Series on Instagram or Spotify, and you'll find that there. But for the Christmas one, I put one together for my Spotify because I had so many people asking.
I'll
I was
have
like,
to
I don't even have a
I'll
Christmas song.
for a good Christmas playlist.
Right? Who doesn't want that? So I'm gonna do It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. And yeah, I just kind of picked this one up again this year. And it's cool. Christmas songs are cool because they're always the same, obviously, year after year. And as an instrumentalist on guitar who's not amazing but can get by, it's fun to pick up some of the harder ones and see how you've progressed. I couldn't play this song last year, but I can play it this year. So it's kind of, just kind
Those
of
are
fun.
fun wins. Totally fun wins.
Right? So yeah, so that's the one we're gonna go for.
Cool.
Now that the guitar is tuned. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots as a wish, a body in bed. Dolls that will talk and will go for a walk. It's the hope of Janice and Jen. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well. The sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is a carol that you sing right within your heart. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. Sure, it's Christmas once more. Yay!
You do such a great rendition of that. You should record that for a Christmas album of your own next year.
Thank you. I think that, so I'm obsessed with the Michael Bublé Christmas album for a specific reason. It was recorded start to finish, like old school. There was no separate rooms, nothing. They're all in one room. And so that's my dream. I want to do a Christmas album like that.
All right, we'll put it out into the world and
Yeah,
let it happen. That's next year's goal.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do. I'm hoping when we do the next set of songs, we're gonna record in Hamilton at the church. Pardon me if I'm forgetting the name of the studio, but it's City and Color did a bunch of things in there. But I'm hoping to do as much of a full room aspect so that you get that live vibe. That's my.
That's very unique and very cool. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a great time chatting with you. I feel like we could keep chatting the day away, but I always like to wrap these episodes up with the question, if you had one message to share with the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's a big one. I think it would just be my learning from this past year that, we're all here to do our own piece. And I think I was saying to you earlier, we get rich not by copying everybody else, but by creation. So it's not about trying to be somebody else. It's about being yourself. And rich meaning in life, happiness, joy, not just prosperity. But to do that, you've really got to be able to listen to yourself. And I think you've got to realize that you're the only one that knows where you're going to go. And so, whilst everybody else's opinions are lovely, at the end of the day, you got to get quiet and see what it is that your heart's calling you to, and follow that. I think that's important.
I agree completely. That's well said. Great message for the world. Everyone take note. That's a good one. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the Artist Behind the Music series. And I can't wait to hear your new songs coming out in 2021 and follow your journey.
Thank you so much, and congratulations with your success on your new single. It's doing really well, and it's so
Oh,
nice.
thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
congratulations. You're welcome. I
Thank
hope you have a great Christmas, I'm guessing. Yes. Happy holidays to
you.
those.
Thanks.
Yes.
Christmas, whatever you
You never know what to say.
What's allowed now? I don't know, but Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.